harder, to achieve better grades. How many think the cash incentive is worth trying? And how many find it objectionable? How many would reject the idea of the cash incentive? If you think it's worth trying, raise the white side of your program. If you think it's objectionable, the cash incentive, raise the orange part of your program. All right, this is an interesting division of opinion. This looks about evenly divided. Let's hear first from someone who objects, someone who would reject this system of paying for good grades or to read books. Why would you reject it? Yes.
My name is 江哲伟。那就是为什么我觉得不可以用现金奖励来奖励功课好的人，是因为怕这个样子的话，那些他们为什么去让自己功课变好的原因，为什么去念书的原因，就是因为要得到钱。他们其实不是因为真正想要这个东西，或想要得到好的学术成就才去功课好。所以如果去除掉这个诱因的话，他们其实就不会去念书了。对，所以其实我们没有办法挑选出真正喜欢念书的人，而且为什么需要大家都喜欢念书呢？为什么大家都要成绩好呢？其实有人就是适合念书，有人就是喜欢念书，有人是不喜欢念书。那我们就让喜欢念书的人、有这个能力的人成绩好就好了啊。以上是我的看法。
All right, stay there, Joe Wei. Stay there. Who disagrees with Joe Wei and thinks this would be a policy worth trying? All right, go ahead.
就是我会觉得说，如果是因为喜欢读书而想要功课好，或者说因为别的目的想要功课好的话，那么不管有没有奖金，他自然会让自己的功课变得好。但这并不，然后如果是一些有了别的想法而想要功课好的，你因为给了他现金，他可以用现金做别的事或者什么的话，它只是一种奖励，也可以刺激更多的人来争取功课好。所以我觉得它是值得尝试的一个做法。谢谢，谢谢。
All right, stay there.
Okay.
What's your name?
My name is Tan Su. Su, yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Okay, Sue, stay there. Sue says it will motivate more students to study hard, and that's a good thing. What could be wrong with that? Who else objects? Who else objects and can say what's wrong with that? Yes.
我想念书，可是如果你是给我钱，我会觉得说，我好像被贿赂了。我喜欢念书，其实我不是想要那个钱。那有一些会是，因为我想要钱，所以我来念书。其实我对这个学术一点兴趣都没有。那如果说之后可能经费的问题，我没有钱，我没有办法再得到钱了，那我就不念了。那对于这个社会就没有任何的益处。
All right, and what's your name?
许廷文。
King Wen. All right, King Wen says it's a form of bribery. It's a form of bribery. You would feel bribed.
是。
And when the money runs out, or when the student is no longer in a school that pays money, if they're only studying to make money, they'll stop studying. They've been bribed. Is it a bribe?
No. 我会觉得，我觉得刚才同学举的例子说啊，我是真的对学术一点都不感兴趣。那么我请问，为什么你还要再研究学术？
为了钱。
对，你也会觉得说为了钱然后去学术。那么我觉得你可以去换一个，也许是脱离学校，可能自己去做一些自己感兴趣、有兴趣的，会更适合你的人生发展。那也可能是为了改善你的生活。
Here's what I want to get at. Why is it a bribe? A bribe is an improper use of money, right? If you bribe an official to do something to serve your interest, then it's a kind of illicit, unethical act. So bribery suggests an improper use of money. Now, sometimes it means an illegal use, but here we're imagining that the law permits the cash incentive. And yet, it still seems to some a case of bribery. Why is that? Who agrees that it's a case of bribery and can explain why they object? What exactly is the objection? Yes.
我同意这是一种贿赂，以金钱的方式，对。但是如果换个角度想，如果我是一个真的很喜欢读书的学生，然后何不妨用一个类似读书礼券的方式，以读书礼券代替金钱的方式来处理，这样子。
Book vouchers.
Yes.
And that's an interesting suggestion. You would encourage, so if you were the principal of the school and you wanted to encourage these kids to read more books, you would not give them cash, you would give them book vouchers. Why would that be a better way, do you think, of motivating them?
因为如果是纯粹金钱的话，就会有一种纯粹物质的感觉，然后就会让整个读书这件事情感觉变成是一种利益的交换。我给你钱让你读书。
But that's what it is, exchange of money for studying. Why is that bad?
如果我喜欢读书的话，读书礼券如果可以纯粹用在买书的画面，我觉得这是一件比较稍微道德上说得过去的事情。
It seems more ethically permissible somehow to reward the students with book vouchers than with money. And what's your name?
Ethan.
Ethan.
卢义成。My English name is Ethan.
All right, Ethan. So Ethan has given us the idea of the book vouchers. Let me say what I think is at stake in this debate. First of all, I want to thank all of you who have expressed your view about paying children to read. The objection to paying children to read books seems to be, or to get good grades, to study hard, seems to be that the money teaches a certain lesson. The money doesn't only provide an incentive, but it also conveys a certain attitude toward learning. That's the worry of those who object, if I hear you correctly. And those who object seem to feel that the cash incentive applied to learning, to reading, to studying, may convey the attitude toward learning and reading that it's a job for pay. And if it's only a job for pay, and if that's what we would teach the children, the students, then even if they did read more books for the money, even if they did study hard and get better grades, motivated by the incentive, the larger purpose of education would be diminished or eroded or corrupted or crowded out by the cash incentive. That's the worry about bribery. And that's why Ethan suggests, I assume, that a better way of motivating them is payment in kind, so to speak, the voucher to go buy a book. Because the voucher to buy a book is an expression of the aim of conveying the love of reading, rather than teaching that reading is a chore, a job that should be done for pay. I should tell you what happened in these experiments. Do you want to know? Paying kids to get good grades did not seem to increase grades. Paying children to read books actually did get the children to read more books. It also led them to read shorter books. But the larger question is the one that's emerged from our discussion. What will happen to these students in the long run? What will happen when the money stops? Now, it's possible that the money will motivate them to begin reading, and then they will come to love reading for its own sake, in which case, when the money stops, they will carry on reading. But it could also happen, this seems to be the fear, the worry, that the lesson they will learn is that reading and studying is a chore that you should only do if you're paid. And if that's the lesson that's taught, then the market incentive will have crowded out a non-market value worth caring about, namely the love of learning for its own sake. Now, I want to ask one more thing about this cash incentive for good grades. I want to see again all of those who find it objectionable. Raise your orange cards if you still find it objectionable, paying kids cash for grades. And hold up, while you're holding up your orange cards, now I want to ask one more thing about this cash incentive for good grades. I want to see again all of those who find it objectionable. Raise your orange cards if you still find it objectionable, paying kids cash for grades. And hold up, while you're holding up your orange cards, lower your cards. But what I'm interested to know is how many of you were paid by your parents for good grades or for studying hard. Why don't we do it this way? Raise the white card if anyone here was paid by his or her parents for studying or for getting good grades. White cards. Look at that. Wow. Look at that. That's pretty striking. So you speak from experience. Actually, when I was in high school, I never got paid for grades or for reading books, but I was living in Los Angeles. That's where I went to high school. And the Los Angeles Dodgers baseball team, the Dodgers gave free tickets to students in Los Angeles high schools who had good grades. And so a lot of my friends and I got to see a lot of Dodgers games. Though we didn't really consider it a bribe, we just thought it was a nice side benefit. Now, what the case of paying cash for grades for reading books brings out is a striking feature of market values. Economists often assume that market exchanges don't change the character of the goods themselves. But what worries a lot of you about the cash for grades or studying is that a financial payment may actually change the way we look at certain activities. Let me give you a very different kind of example and tell you a true story. In Switzerland, they were trying to decide some years back where to locate a nuclear waste site. No community wants one in its backyard. Under the law of Switzerland, the local community has to approve the nuclear waste site. There was a small town in the mountains of Switzerland that seemed to be geologically the safest place. And so a survey was done of the residents of the town before the final decision was made. And the residents were asked, if the parliament chooses your town for the nuclear waste site, would you vote to approve